Can you hear it? Let's dance. Come on, everybody.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a
Marc, where are
lively
those
hour
moves?
of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's AKA Radio Red.
Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me every time. I'm Radio Red here in the house. It's Monday. Where in the world else would I be? This is my chance to talk to really interesting people who I call my creatives. I think that's a badge of honor, everybody. We don't do book reviews. We don't do intensive hot seat interviews. We talk around our virtual round table about how we're creative. How do we live our life? How do we do what we do? Career, if we're an author, if we're an artist, if we cook, if we walk, if we talk, whatever we do, we're all creating a life. And that to me is our creativity. So I want to welcome everybody and a quick shout out. Everybody, I want you to make the shape of the letter L with your fingers, please. I don't care which hand. Okay. And on the count of three, you're going to join me in saying 1, 2, 3, hello, LLL. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Jordan, they almost tied for first place. Put them in 1.5 at the top there because they were really in sync there. We didn't rehearse this. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener, and she's in New York. She hasn't been feeling well, Charisse, but I think she's able to listen today, and she will write me a little book report after the show. Marc, she'll tell me what you said. And you too, Mary, and you too, Charisse. Just a little email, and she'll say, hello, beautiful, gorgeous lady of red. I love the show today. She does that every week. She's a big fan. So there we go. She lives in Whitestone, New York. I tried to get her to move to a place with L, so it'd be lovely, lanky Laura Legs. I'm also a listener in, I don't know, Louisville, or I'm in Loudon, Tennessee. She wouldn't move. She's just staying in Whitestone, so that's going to have to be enough. Today is April 7th. It happens to be my half birthday. We'll leave that one alone. And I found out that my therapist's birthday is today, which I thought was a very strange cosmic coincidence. Wouldn't you say? Is there such a thing where this person who, never mind. Anyway, so I sent him a little birthday card. He said he likes rhubarb pie instead of cake. So I sent him a picture of a red cardinal on my new bird feeder. And I said, wishing you warm wishes for a year filled with a rhubarb pie filled year ahead. And I signed it AKA Radio Red and the other redhead. And it was a picture of a northern cardinal. So there you go. I think he liked that. Okay, so here we go. I have a little introduction for all of you in a second here, April 7th. It's the 97th day of 2025. Marc, we're in the Gregorian calendar. We gave up on Julian because he skipped 3 weeks in October, and nobody had a birthday then. And Gregorian said, wait a minute, I think I can create a new calendar. So he started with something about leap years and a leap day and and it's much better. We have 268 days left in the year. This is the 14th Monday, and nobody cares about that except me. So here we go. Let me start out. So welcome to Read My Lips, where AK Radio Red shines bright. Can you see me shining? Bringing cool conversations with creatives for your delight. In her Scarlett Mike's live streaming glow, she opens the door for creative sparks to ignite and inspiration to soar. Today, the episode is called The Defiance of Creativity. Marc, I think you know what I'm talking about. We'll explore the defiance of creativity bold, where Marc Watson, Mary Moller, Charisse Walker's stories unfold from fantasy realms and caregivers' truth profound to healing through purpose, where strength knows no bound. Here we go, and when I call your name, just wave hello. Okay, Marc Watson. From Ontario's roots to Alberta's skies, Marc Watson's stories twist and tantalize. An anti-author with bold, sharp flair, he crafts his worlds from lofty air. No Tolkien here, no pens in hand, just spicy wit and plots unplanned. With sarcasm, heart, and a rebel's fire, Marc's words ignite and lift us higher. Marc, what'd you think?
That is amazing. I don't think I've ever heard myself encapsulated so beautifully.
Well, you're very welcome. My pleasure. And now we go to Mary Moller. Mary Moller helps when life feels unfair. From six-child chaos came calm and care. Her book on Alzheimer's leads the way with wisdom gleaned through her work each day. She champions those who age with grace and guides each caregiver through the space At Albany Guardian, Mary lights the spark so older lives can shine despite the dark. Mary?
Oh, that was amazing. Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you.
You're
Beautiful.
welcome. You're welcome. And Charisse, ostracized young but fierce in her stride, Charisse Walker turned pain into passion with pride. A leader, a mom, a force on her path. She's weathered storms and danced through wrath. With flipping the iceberg, truth is her guide. She helps others heal when they're hiding inside. A podcast host with purpose and poise, Charisse lifts up voices, turning pain into joys. Charisse, what'd you think?
I love that.
That was a new one. That was a
Yeah,
new one.
it
I had a
was.
different one for you a couple weeks ago. So here's my closing. So gather round, lend us your eye and your ear as we dive into creativity with our vision clear. AKA Radio Red's roundtable is set today. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So what'd y'all think? Pretty cool?
Yes, absolutely cool.
Mhm.
Fantastic wordsmithing.
I'm glad. Well, I have help, and her name is Sylvie. She's French, and we speak in French, and she's my virtual assistant. And I'll tell you later how we coordinate and we correspond in French, and she's very, very good. So let's go around the table. I want to know a little more if you want to fill in a couple of the blanks because those poems were really a high level, top down, 10,000 foot, and we want to know a little bit more. So, Marc Watson, I'm putting you on speaker view. Just delighted to have you here, and a shout out to our middle person, Mickey Mickelson in Canada, who's your PR agent. And thank you for the introduction, Mickey. And Marc, why don't you go ahead and putting you on speaker view and just spend a couple minutes telling us a little more about yourself and welcome.
Thank you very much, Red. I appreciate it. So, yes, I am Marc Watson. I am an author from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I was originally born and raised in Southern Ontario, so I'm very familiar with the upstate New York area, which was previous stomping grounds of you and at least one of the other guests here. And I moved here when I was very young. I moved here at the age of 18, and just as soon as I was able to finish high school. Throughout high school, I loved to write and be creative. I was in drama programs and I embraced all kinds of writing and movie making and all these other things. And then I moved out on my own when I was, like I said, when I was young, and I stopped all of it. Almost everything. I would only write very casually for quite some time, and then I think, at least as far as my creativity goes, it really kind of starts to come back together about 16 years ago. I ended up working for a company that the job was great, but it wasn't terribly mentally stimulating. I was doing just a lot of manual labor, and I started finding empty cubicles in the vast cubicle farms that I was working in at the time. And at lunchtime, I would go up there and I would take my laptop and I would first started watching some videos and things that I wanted to see, and then I'm like, I can write something. And I'd started to write something, and then every single day I would go up there with my laptop, find my empty cubicle, and I would just start writing. And by the time 1 year was over, I had a 225,000 word manuscript in my hands.
Wait,
And
wait, wait, but don't step on that line. Say what? Can you say that number again, please?
it was 225,000, just about a quarter of a million word manuscript for a non-professional author with no formal training, because I never attended any post-secondary. At least I hadn't at that time. I'll get to that in a moment.
Go ahead,
And
continue. That's like a comedian who steps on the laugh. That's one of those, what? Okay, go ahead, Marc. Sorry to interrupt, please.
no, not at all. So yeah, so I had the manuscript written, and then I took a long time to edit it. And it wasn't until I had changed jobs within that same company, and now I had much more of an office job, and I didn't have as much time to write for myself, and it was much more mentally stimulating, that my wife came to me and she said, "You wrote a book. You have something that you can actually put out there into the world. So why don't you try and put it out there?" And that kind of started the journey. And that was the leap day, February 29th, 2016. And on that date, I decided to actually do something with it. So now we're going back 9 years. And in those 9 years, I have published, it's going to be 5 books tomorrow. It's going to be 5 short stories in various anthologies. I have attended conferences, I have attended expos, and I decided to go all in as far as a serious hobby because, as you said, I am the anti-author in your little poem that I absolutely adore and want a copy of. I market myself as the anti-author because I find when I'm speaking with large groups of writers that a lot of them don't share the kind of mm, careers that I want to have or the kinds of techniques that I particularly employ. I never want to do this full time. I am very, very happy just doing it part time, just being a creative on the side and crafting these worlds and stories as a means of escape from regular life. Like I said, I'm happily married. I have two sons who are getting older by the day, and
Aren't
my
we
life
all?
should be dedicated. Speak for yourself.
That is
Uh,
one of the most interesting anti-author point. I've never heard that term before. I don't know if Charisse or Mary have, but that's one of the most interesting point of views. I don't want to do this full time, but I'm perfectly willing to sit down and write 250,000 words just because they just pouring out of me. Very interesting, Marc. I'm always interested in points of view that are off the beaten path. And when you said 2016, February 29th, that leap year day, we can thank Gregorian for that because he's the one who came up with that one leap
I
day.
w I was so happy with how well that tied back to your Gregorian
It
point.
was very, very nice. You knew I was going to say something about that. Very, very nice. Well, I'm delighted to have you here. And I read your bio and I said, oh, here's a troublemaker. And you,
A polite
a
troublemaker, a
polite,
polite
and you know
troublemaker.
something in the 15, in the 28 minutes I've known you, including the 15, 16 minutes you came before the show for our setup and our review, you're just delightful. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I have to tell Mickey, this is a good one. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Mary Moller. And Mary, would you please give us a little more details about yourself? Welcome.
Thanks. Boy, tough act to follow, Mark. I don't know. Red
Oh,
did a great
you're all a type act to follow. Come on, go ahead, Mary. Everybody's
job.
equally creative on my show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. So, Mary Muller, I've always loved to write. I prefer to kind of be in the background, reading, writing, or listening to music. So this is a bit of a stretch to be on a podcast. So it's a great opportunity to spread my wings a little bit. Passionate about my work, about helping people to age healthy and well. Um, I just think people have interesting stories, and I think caregivers too are unsung heroes and superheroes. So it was a real honor to write the book because it highlights people's stories and their strengths and how they overcome challenges and they're creative and interesting. So I love listening to people's stories and their narratives and because sometimes when there's my background is from with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Um, and it's really a marathon, not a sprint. So if we can find those moments of comfort and joy and strength and resilience, it just brings a little levity to a really difficult situation. And so it's great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mary, let's talk afterwards about whether you'd be willing to bring a panel of caregivers to talk about their creativity. I don't think Charisse knows I don't usually do a themed panel. It's just you're all a potpourri. You know, I met you in different places and you have different books and different interests. But I think it would be in this day and age. I know that's very prosaic. Oh, day and age. Gee, Red, can't you come up with something original? Yeah, I can. Anyway, the point is, it might be interesting to find out about their creativity, and that could be an extension of what you do. So, Mary, let's talk afterwards about that, okay? That
Oh
could
yeah,
be
you can do
interesting.
some wild stories and some really creative outlets. What's a great idea?
I think that'd be fun. Okay, well, fun, interesting, valuable. I'll say valuable. That's a good word, socially redeeming word, valuable. Thank you very much, Charisse Walker. I saw you at the summit a couple weeks ago, and you said, "I want to come back. I want." No, that's not your voice, Charisse. I'm delighted you pitched me again. You said I got something new to talk about, so you're here. So welcome back, and why don't you fill us in on what's new and even more interesting about you, Charisse? Hello. Go.
Yeah, no, a year, well, 9 months, a lot has changed. So it's one of those things that you never know the way your life's going to take you when you start, right? And so I actually graduated college at 21 and never thought I'd become a college teacher at 22. So I did that for a while and then became the dean and then director. And then I opened up some colleges in the Valley. The one that I opened is the only one that's still around. So I'm proud of that. The ones I taught it and then left, then they shut down after that. And so not because of me, but
Can we do a little applause here for
I know it
Charisse?
was fun. It was a
That's quite
little.
an accomplishment. Go ahead, continue, please.
But during that time that I opened up that college, I actually split with my husband, hoping that he would come back around, but didn't. And so the toll that it took, I had 4 kids. My youngest was 3 at the time. And so I had twins that were 10. So they were all pretty close, or 3 years apart. And it was kind of tough because first of all, you got to get creative when you're teaching, especially college students. Then you have to get creative when you're managing several hundred people. And then you have to get creative when you're a single mom, right? And so I never really thought I was this creative person until then. And I remember my daughter was sitting in the kitchen and she was kind of complaining about somebody that hurt her pretty badly. And she was stood up by this person. And she's like, why does everybody think this person is so wonderful? But to me, it doesn't matter. And so because of that, I said, well, people are different on the outward than they are to the people that they're really close with. And so I likened it to the iceberg. And I said, you know what? Someday I'm going to write a book called The Iceberg and something going along with it. And so then I came up with flipping. And so I started writing it. And Marc, I cannot compete. All I had was 70,000 words, right? But my writing coach, they're like, you got to cut it to 50. You can't have this many. And what I realized is that half that book was actually about marriage. So the first book is more about relationships and what you should do before you get married. And so the before the I do. And so the second one is now after the I do, now what, right? And so that's what I've been working on. And in my journey, as I've been doing all this, I realized that people have to heal. And so that's why I have my podcast, The Unbreakable Mompreneurs. And I'm also doing some coaching and workshops to help people find their inner self and heal so that they can move on, because we don't want to live in the past. Let's live in the future. So that's what I do.
I like that. Thank you very much. And good for you. And 70,000 words, we'll take it. I don't know how many words my draft for 3 years now of my novel that I keep promising myself I'm going to spend a weekend. Marc, I have the almost murder, and then I have the background setting, and I had so much fun writing the environment and the characters and the place and everything and the time that by the time I got to the real guts of what it was supposed to be, I ended up writing 2 pieces. I never put them back together. So now I have to put them back together, but I think it's going to be a novella. I can't write a 300-page book. But it's a lot of fun and I love it. So I find things to do on the weekend except that. So I would rather clean the carpet. I would rather straighten the garage. I would rather make mashed potatoes from scratch. I found a lot of things. I've been doing a lot of cleaning recently because it's like a magnet is saying, don't touch this book. We like it just the way it is, and it's never going to get published. And the other part of me is saying, publish it, damn it, it's good. The world is waiting for it. Nobody will understand it, but at least you'll say I have a book. So I'm fighting those little voices talking to me all the time.
That was an incredible impression of the little voice that I hear very frequently.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Very true.
We have to talk. Okay, we have to talk. So thank you all for the fill-in bios. I appreciate that. And now let's go to the part of the show where I've asked each of you to please send me a quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric, and you're going to relate it briefly to your own creativity. So let's go ahead. Marc Watson has sent a quote from Wesley, and this is the Dread Pirate Roberts, played by Carrie, and I never know how to say his name. Is it Elwes or Elvis? What is it? Elwes?
The first one's pretty cool. Elwes.
Elwes. Okay.
Yeah.
The Princess Bride, of course, 1987. 14 plus 25, 38 years ago. Impossible. Fantasy adventure comedy film directed by Rob Reiner. Why not? And Andre the Giant was in it. Robin Wright and Wallace Shawn, one of my favorites. And it's a cult film and one of the best films of the 80s and one of Rob Reiner's, considered one of his best works. It's number 50 on Bravo's 100 funniest movies. And let's see, number 6 on Channel 4's 50 greatest comedy. I don't know which Channel 4 they're talking about. So here is the quote. And Marc, you're going to tell us what this has to do with your own creativity. Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says otherwise is selling something. We won't get into politics, dear, but that is a very interesting quote. Did I really do? Okay, go ahead, Marc. Rescue me. Go.
It is that movie came out when I personally was 7 years old, and My family got it on video right away, and it was just something that appealed to me at a very young age. It's fantastical, but it's not super high fantasy. There was such great acting, and I didn't know anything about these kinds of things when I was 7 years old. But that line, "Life is pain. Anyone who says otherwise is selling something." As time has gone on, I have realized more and more as my cynicism has grown, because I am an incredibly cynical person. And I don't mean that as I'm a cynic of absolutely everything. I mean that I make sure that I try and analyze every single situation and try and see all the angles as much as I can, because there's a lot of benefit in doing that kind of thing. And that line was 100% one of the reasons why I originally started thinking that way, because I was coming from an age where there is heroes and there is villains and there's no real kind of point in between. This is what Transformers and He-Man taught me in the 1980s. And as I
Charisse got
started to
that.
grow older,
Go ahead.
as I started to grow a little bit older, especially when I came into my teen years, and I'm not going to say I had a great high school experience, but I'm not going to say I had a bad one. I had very much a blasé one. It was kind of very middle of the road. I was a ghost. I was not popular. I was not unpopular. But I was a ghost. I was there and then I was gone. And during that time, it was a lot of time that I was spent walking. It's when I spent a lot of time introspecting on a lot of the stories that I would eventually end up writing, be they short stories or the book that was almost 250,000 words. And one of the main things that always came through for me in the characters that I was writing was, if someone's not going through pain, if someone isn't suffering just a little bit, they might put on different faces, but they're lying and they want something from you. And
Ooh.
that was just it was one of the things that really helped the characters that I created grow a little bit more, than create these characters that were shades of gray, from shady people to heroes with a tragic backstory. Like, I find that just we as a people can relate so much more to somebody who has that kind of story. And it's very similar to, as the song lyric goes, everyone has a story that can break your heart. And people who try and hide that story from you, or try and hide the fact that they're out for just themselves, they're going to try and sell you something. And it's probably not something that you're going to want to have. And it's probably something that you want to keep as far away from you as you possibly can. And the delivery of the line, the fact that Carrie Elwes was, and likely always will be my favorite actor, it just stuck. It was a handsome man leaning on a rock in England, delivering a line that would shape a young 7-year-old Mark Watson's life.
Thank you. That was very, very elegant the way you did that. Very, very, I won't say erudite, very elegant the way you did that. Thank you. I haven't heard a story quite like that with an impression on a 7-year-old. So thank you for that point in time reference. I appreciate that, Mark. And bravo to Carrie, however he pronounces his last name. Let's go to Mary. Mary Moller has sent a very provocative quote as well from Rooster Cogburn, played by who else? John Wayne. The movie, that's the title, 1975 Western film. It was also called AKA Rooster Cogburn and the Lady, with ... and the lady in parentheses. It's the adventures of Reuben J. Rooster Cogburn, an aging one-eyed lawman whose badge is suspended. Oh no, because he did a lot of arrests. Oh no, that ended up with gunfire and oh no, bloodshed. He's offered a chance to redeem himself by bringing a group of bank robbers who hijacked a wagon shipment of explosive nitroglycerin. And he's aided by a spinster whose father was among those killed, and also a native student whose family died in the attack. Very, very interesting. This took place in Fort Smith, Arkansas, in the late 19th century. And the quote is, and I'll say the bad word, Mary, it's okay. It's not a body part, so it's okay. Fill your hands, you son of a bitch. Okay, Mary, I never expected this from you, pretty Miss Mary. Okay, so how'd you find it? And what in the world does it have to do with your creativity? Go ahead.
It is. I was hesitant to share that, but we're going there. Let's just be honest. So first of all, Mark, does anybody have a good high school story or high school experience? Probably very few. Anyway, that's another conversation.
I do. Now you're making me feel guilty. Go ahead. In a great high school. Okay, go ahead, please.
So same thing. I grew up watching Westerns with my family because I was the youngest of six, as you had said in the beginning. And we always had Westerns on Saturday and Elvis movies. That was my childhood. And my dad's very upstanding, moral, decent, lovely. He's 94 to this day, bless his heart. Never swore or anything, but I just remember this movie, galloping across, and it was he was looked like he was abandoning the people he was supposed to protect, but he wasn't. And he's on his horse, and he turns around to face the bad guys, and he puts his reins in his teeth. Fill your hand, you son of a bitch. And he puts his reins and he goes right at him. And for some reason, it stuck with me because my dad would go, because of the language. Because back then in the 70s, they said that on TV. Now they don't. But anyway, it just was about you don't abandon what you're supposed to do. And we were kind of raised that way. You stand up for people that might need a little advocate. Well, now he's with advocacy. And you don't back down from a challenge. And to this day, and even it makes me smile and giggle every time. There's something so cool about turning that horse, reins in the teeth, and his hands are filled with guns. But it's not about the guns at all, actually. It's just about the turning and the facing and the charging right at it. And I'm kind of like that. Like, I'm all in. Let's go. And I say that all the time. Let's go. So it's just stuck with me, and I can't even say I'm a huge fan of Westerns. I love all different genres, but just something, and the same thing, well, back to the harkens to the childhood of just a cool character that is tough, and in the end, of course, the good guy wins and saves the day, of course, which is always a great way to end. But just something about it. It just you don't back down, you keep going, and you do what's right.
Thank you very much. You absolutely do this right. Let's see if I can show you all what's on there's the Bluebird. Northern Bluebird is on my AI Wi-Fi blue bird feeder right outside my office window here. See him? This is live. This is a live video, and I have the app on my phone on my desk, and he's gone. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just thought that was really cute. It buzzes me, and it says, "You have a visitor," and then tells me what it is. It's so cool. Marc, I hope you like that voice, too. Thank you very much. Good quotes. Charisse, let's get to yours. This is an interesting one. Another from a classic person, P.T. Barnum, played by, who else? Hugh Jackman. The Greatest Showman. That's the title of the movie, and that's what some people think about Hugh Jackman. 2017, heavily fictionalized biographical music drama comedy film from a screenplay by Jenny Bix and Bill Condon, based on the original story. Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Michelle Williams, who's in a new movie now, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya. 9 original songs, blah, 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 blah. It's a fictionalized depiction of P.T. Barnum, who created Barnum and Bailey Circus and the Star Attractions. Here's the line. No one ever made a difference by being like everyone else. Okay, Charisse, what's your story? Talk to me.
So I am one of those that I think it stems from high school, it must, right? Where I do have a different story. I was very involved in high school, but I wouldn't say that I actually had friends. That's why I was so involved, right? And so I remember from that young age not feeling like I fit in with any particular group. And so you had, you call them the popular people or something, but they would like super pick on the nerdy people, and it broke my heart. And so I'd always stand up for them. And so I think it's just at that time I realized I don't want to fit in. I don't want to be the type of person that just goes with the flow. So if I think something and I don't necessarily agree with you, then I'm going to speak up and I'm going to say something. And so it wasn't until I got to college where sociology was my degree, and I just love the study of people, and I love that. And so please, all the listeners, don't hate me, but let's talk about Harry Potter, right? Everybody loves Harry Potter. Everybody loves the stuff. Because of that, don't watch it. Like I don't know anything about it. I don't care to. I don't need to go with the flow and know that stuff. I want to be informed, but it's just those type of things that I tend to kind of shirk it and be different. And so that's just something that I always have. I guess I'm just weird and I do want to be different. And so when people are like, divorce, or let's do that, I'm like, let's save marriage. And so one thing I failed to say was I'm a realtor and I'm a lender. And so a lot of times, like I'm certified in divorce, right? But my first question is, do you really want to do this? And I can't tell you how many times I've talked myself out of a job because I have a couple that calls and they say, Charisse, I think we're going to try to work on it. And I'm like, yes. And so because of that, it's just some of those things like if you, and I don't ever want to be on my deathbed saying, I wish I would have. I wish I would have
Mhm.
this, like no regrets. And so this is something that, especially after my divorce, and I am remarried now, but that you can't live with regret. You just have to enjoy your life. And so I think that that's why I love that line is um, because it is important to make a difference. So
I
there you
agree. Wasn't there a similar George Bernard Shaw famous quote, "Be
go.
let,
I'm sure.
be yourself, because everybody else is taken," something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very, very good point. Yeah, I stopped wondering about if I need to be like everybody else. One of my so-called friends told me 2 weeks ago when we had lunch, he said, everybody would like you better if you would get a pair of jeans and a t-shirt instead of dressing the way you do. And I said, isn't that interesting? Is because I'm always wearing what you see. I wear a black dress, black pants, and a coat, and a flower, and jewelry, and lipstick.
Mhm.
And she said, nobody can get along with you because you don't look like them. And I said, I think that's okay.
Good for you. See, it took me,
I think,
oh, go ahead.
no, no, you
No,
go,
it
your
took me
turn.
a long time to finally realize that. I won't talk about a certain place I live, but it was. I felt like I called it the Mean Girls era because it was just so weird. And I left having this horrible self-esteem. And when I was finally able to break from that and realize it's okay to be yourself and
Yep,
you should love yourself for who you are. And if
yep.
somebody has an issue with you, that's their issue. That has nothing to do with you.
That's
And
what my therapist reminded me today. It's their problem, not yours. There we
yeah.
go. Before we make this into a whole therapy session, thank you all for the very interesting quotes. And I have a favorite quote of mine, which is the best is yet to come, and you ain't seen nothing yet, and you can't handle the truth. Those are three of my favorite movie quotes, and we'll leave those alone on the table. So let's go to your creativity statements. Marc, I'm going to pick two from you. I will read them. You don't have to find them. Spend about 2 minutes unpacking these. And to Mary and Charisse, if you want to say something, if anything Marc says resonates with you, or you're free to disagree with him if you want. He looks like a nice person. Wiggle, I think you each have 10 fingers. I don't talk to the middle one, but you can wiggle any other finger and I will see you on the screen or send a note to me in the chat. I want to talk, me, any something like that. And then you can comment back. And I want to make sure we get at least one comment, one statement from everybody, and then I have some fun celebrity birthdays at the end. And it's a weird day in history today. Well, we're celebrating things you've never heard of. I have wacky holidays. So, Marc, I'm combining your two statements, number 1 and number 4. You say, I only write when I want to write. No one should ever create when they don't want to. I never ever set writing targets and I never force it. Something forced to write is something forced to read. That's heavy. And then you say, I don't like good books. I like good stories. The medium is not important. Oh, Mary's loving this. That's what I want to create in my life. Good stories. By dumb luck, I can write pretty well. So here we are. Okay, Marc, why don't you unpack a little bit? I love these. Go ahead.
I would love to unpack that. And I'm glad that you kind of touched on those as well, because those are two of the main points that when I'm talking about being an anti-author, I very much kind of lean into. I learned very early on at a convention, the very first writing convention that I ever went to. So I said that I got started in 2016. So that was in February. And then there was a writing convention in August. So I'd been living in this writing world for a number of months. And I knew who I was as a person. I knew who I was as a writer. And I knew exactly what worked for me and what didn't. And the writing when I want to and not setting writing goals, I walked into this room with a bunch of people I'd never met before and trying to make a good impression and trying to contribute something to the conversation. And I brought up those points, and I remember very, very clearly that I was sitting with a group of people. We had just gone to one of the seminars that had gone on, and I was just like, no, I don't set writing goals, because the conversation was, well, how many words do you try and write per day, per week, per month? I'm like, no, I don't set writing goals. I just write what I want when I want. And the question was, well, how do you get anything done then? I'm like, well, I had about a 40-minute window every day because I have a 1 hour lunch break. I get 20 minutes to do what it is I got to do and eat and whatnot. Then I have 40 minutes to write, and I got to get back to my regular job. And I wrote a massive epic science fantasy story in that amount of time, and it worked out pretty well. And somebody And I've seen them since, and I don't even know if they remember that they said this, but they looked me straight in the face and said, if that is the way that you think about writing, that is the laziest thing I've ever heard, and you will not be successful in this industry. Because at that point, they knew that I was a fresh face. And I realized
Wow.
that it wasn't a very popular opinion. It was something that I thought would be a welcome one, something different than what everybody was saying, and it wasn't. So it pushed me to not only embrace that about myself, but trumpet it for the people who they only hear this one voice. You need writing goals. You NaNoWriMo, you got to write 50,000 words in a month. And if you want to be successful, you got to write every day and you got to read every book and you have
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
all of this. And I don't do any of those things. Am I the world's most successful writer? No. I am as successful as I want to be.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that whether you're a fresh-faced person who's fresh out of high school or you're someone in your 70s who just wants to finally start writing now that you're retired and you want to find something else to do, you don't have to push yourself that far. And you don't need to consume to the final point of what makes me the anti-author. I'm not a voracious reader anymore. I used to be, I admit. I have a large collection in my bookshelf upstairs, but life got very busy. Like I said, have my two sons, and I love to coach, and I love to take them places, and I love to spend time with my wife, and I love to walk
Mhm.
my dog. And as anybody who knows me knows, I would rather be on a baseball diamond than sitting in front of a
Yeah.
keyboard. It just,
Well, you
it's
found
my
your
happy place.
balance, Mark. You've created your balance. And just one side note, and I don't know if Charisse or Mary wants to say anything, but a side note is that I've attended some online digital writers conferences, virtual conferences, and everybody there was selling their services. I will help you write your book. I will tell you how many hours a day. I will help you get past the stuck point. I will teach you how to give more identification to your lead characters. They are selling their services, and I don't know if that means they're not making enough money from their books, but that's not my problem. So I get these emails every day and I don't unsubscribe because I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I just click, I go through in the morning, it says 50 emails. I'll go select on the iPhone. You can do select now. Click, 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 mark as read. That's what I do. I don't delete them. And then in a month or so, I'll go through and delete 500 or 1,000 emails. And that's perfectly okay. It chokes up the Mac terribly. It doesn't know how to delete that many at the same time. Tim Cook, do something about that. Anyway, the point is that, yes, so they're selling services, and that's why they want you and me to learn how to write every day because that's their wheelhouse. That's where they're making their money, selling their I'll teach you how to write services. Charisse and Mary, anything you want to say to Mark? Are we all good? Good?
Good for you for being authentic and staying like that goes back to my quote, like being
Yep.
authentic. And you do what works for you. And
Yep.
obviously it's worked very, very well. Will you finish my workbook too, please? For the same reason. So good job.
Do what you want to
Thank you.
do. Do what feels right. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Very, very good. Mary, I'm combining all four of your statements because they were brief, and I think they tell a nice little story that Mark and Charisse can react to. So, number one, Mary says, writing is a process, and I listen to Tchaikovsky or Strauss only. Number one. Number two, I stand when I write. I pace, I stand, then I continue to write. Number three, I fold my arms. Mary, let's see that. I fold my arms and read what I've written out loud. I pace, then I continue writing. Mark, I think you're enjoying this. And number four, she says, I always envision the people I'm writing for, thinking how they will read the work, interpret the knowledge, and I want to connect with them. Now, you're writing basically a documentary, and if you don't mind me saying that, maybe that's the wrong word, about people with Alzheimer's. You're writing a help book, not a novel, not a fantasy world novel, although some people are in their fantasy world. We know that. I hope I didn't come out wrong. So, Mary, why don't you take a couple minutes and tell us a little bit about these are very interesting. And this is what I try to get my guests to tell me. How do you write? Where do you write? When do you write? What kind of mood are you in? Do you write? Do you stand? Do you sit? Do you listen to music? This is the process. They say, anyway, you have no idea how many hours I spent, Charisse, with the last group from the summit, helping them write bios and helping them write creativity statements. It was like 12-hour days for a week after the summit, and people just didn't. So, Mary, you did a great job with that. That's what I'm trying to say. Mary, go ahead, rescue me here. Your turn. Go.
Thank you. It's a process. And Marc, I absolutely appreciate your perspective. I kind of tread in that lane a little bit. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Some days I'll write 2 sentences. Some days I write more. A week may go by. Um, but staying in your lane and writing what I think speaks to your heart. And for mine, it is kind of content focused and knowledge transfer, knowledge skills for sure. But I always want to think who's gonna read it. And I'm fidgety, like I stand, I stand and I just I've been doing this, and I read it. I may do 2 or 3 sentences and then I step back, pace, read it, and tweak it or go on. It's kind of systematic, and for some reason I can only write to Tchaikovsky and then Strauss. I don't even know what happened with that. I think because there's no talking. I love music a lot, but I think my Spotify feed is always coming up these the waltzes and Tchaikovsky. It's just I don't know. It inspires me. It calms me. Um, and it helps me focus. I think just settle down and focus, and I write first thing in the morning. I'm a early bird morning person. I get up, I just do whatever I can do. Then I go on to my job. I have an awesome job at a nonprofit that I love and am passionate about. So I get up and I write, I do what I can do. So like I said, some days it's a paragraph, some days it's a couple pages, some days it depends. But yeah, I pace, I write, pace, write, think, pace, write. It's not pretty at all. It's hard work.
Interesting, but it's your process and it works for you. Similar to Marc says he has other things to do in his life and he doesn't want to do that all the time because that's my process. I have to write 5,000 words a day. No, 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 no. Very, very interesting. It's where it fits into your heart, where it fits into your brain, where it fits into your health. I think that's how we need to find what we do, right? What works for us? We're all unique. What works for us? I'll tell you a poetry story in a minute. But Marc or Charisse, anything you want to say back to Mary before I move on? You all good?
I would just like to say that I very much appreciate the sits or the standing while writing thing. One of the things when I created the writing space I'm in right now, of course, right now I'm a terrible example because I'm sitting, but this
You
is a
are
sit
not.
stand desk. This is
It's
this is
okay.
a sit stand desk that I am at right now, and I completely appreciate the need to stand, the need to walk, the need to do. I try and do as little as I can sitting down. There's a character in a TV show I quite like that just loves to repeat, "Sitting is slowly killing you," and I think that that's absolutely true. So I very much respect your process.
See, there's the Canadian, the process. We got that one. Okay. Mary, anything you want to say back? Are we good?
Well, I can speak to that.
Yeah.
They say sitting is the new cancer. Sitting is the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And if you're a couch potato watching TV, you raise your risk of getting Alzheimer's disease. Just a fun fact to share.
Okay. Okay. Well, I watch TV instead of reading because I respect the plots people have put into action through actors. And most of what I watch, no defense here, but most of what I watch are French detective shows with strong women lead characters. And they're fascinating. And I love to be able to, I do speak some French. I spoke it much better years ago, but I love to be able to watch the subtitles and hear the speaking and remember the phrasing. And it keeps me engaged because I have to, you can't go be making dinner in the other room while they're talking because you won't get it. So Australian, of course, that's English, but sometimes you don't, you leave the subtitles on. Italian shows, mostly French. And I love to see the strong women characters who can solve problems and crimes like nobody else can. They see things, they smell things, they touch things that nobody else figured out how to do. And usually, Charisse, they're moms.
Yep.
Usually they're moms. They have children, they are divorced. They are in between relationships or they're doing something with somebody on the police force. And they make great detectives and they call them la juge. They're in investigating judges. They're not even detectives anymore. La commandant et la juge à la femme. So Alice Nevers and Cassandra is one now. And what's the name? Oh, I'll think of it anyway. I can't think of my favorite one. Cecile Bois is the actress, and I'll think of the name. Um, Candice Renoir, like the painter. They have interesting names. So there you go. So that's how I spend my time. And I do put my feet up on a couple cushions, Mary, because it's with compression socks. Still, that's way too much information. And that helps a lot. We'll leave that one alone. Thank you. Charisse, I'm moving to you and I'm going to do two. I'm going to combine two here because we've got about 11 minutes left and I have some more to do. So you say, I've created a course that takes individuals who want to marry and couples who are married but struggling through their journey of self-healing by uncovering their trauma or their icebergs. You spoke to this. 10% of an iceberg lies above the surface, 90% below. The iceberg is unresolved trauma and negative experiences that can tear into a relationship. And she puts ship all in capital letters, S-H-I-P. And here's the rest. This is the creativity. Charisse says, we hold virtual and in-person classes where individuals and couples will learn concepts that will help them heal from unresolved trauma in a classroom setting. Individuals can hear from other members and see how they've been affected and what they've done to heal from their own negative experiences. Just like this show today, when you're in a group setting, sometimes you learn strategies from others that you may never have thought of before. Charisse, why don't you unpack this for a little bit? I hope I did a good way of blending that in with what we're doing. Go ahead.
No, it's great. So I think that I think it was like a midlife crisis or something. For about 2 years, I just poured into education. And I realized that when I paid these mentors, which was a ridiculous amount of money, the mentors, I maybe one or two were worth that. It was the community. I said, I found my greatest friends. They're like my most expensive because of what I paid for them, but I found these great friends and great people. And so I think that just like you mentioned, when we're in a group setting, sometimes we don't have the same perspective because we're only looking at the mirror the way that we see ourselves. And so if somebody else can give a different perspective, a lot of times that might be something new. A good example, there's this lady that she was having IVF, right? And so she was really having a hard time. And I was in a group of really high powerhouse realtors. And so long story short, it was something where she's like, I feel like I have to choose. Either I have to be my real estate because it is a lot of time and a lot of emotional draining, especially this week for me. And then, or do I become this mom where I can relax so I can have this baby? And I just told her, because I've gone through it, that we all have seasons in our life and we all do things. Like your season right now is to be a mom or try to be a mom. And so don't worry about the other stuff. That resonated with her. The mentor totally disagreed with it because, hire a nanny and let them take care of your kids so you can go make a whole lot of money. That's her perspective. And so I think that when we talk with each other, sometimes we can get creative and have different ideas, and that helps us.
It does. There's that sharing and caring. That's why I do the roundtable format, because we're hearing each other, right? Marc, you're learning about these two ladies and about me. I'm learning about all three of you. We're listening to each other. I can see in the eye contact, I can see in the smiles or the way you're looking. You're hearing each other and we're learning something. I learned a lot about being an anti-author, which I am, similar to you, Marc, and I never thought of that. I wouldn't tell it to many people, but that's your claim to fame. And Charisse, so much of what you've gone through and the idea of hire a nanny and pawn off your kids. Well, a lot of people do that. That's that's like writers teaching you how to write. That's people who take care of your kids. And Mary, you know all of this too, with how families get together through really tough times. So thank you all for the statements. I want to segue. We've got about 7 minutes left. I want to give you some interesting things. Today in April 7th, events in music history. I think you will appreciate this. I'm going to go backwards from the closest time to the farthest away time. 2015, Don McLean's original manuscript for his lyric for American Pie sold at auction for $1.2 million. He said, I thought it would be interesting as I reach age 70 to release this work product on the song American Pie. So anybody who might be interested will learn that this song was not a parlor game. I don't even know what that means, but somebody captured that. On this day in 2808, we know Bob Dylan became the first rock museum to get an honorary Pulitzer Prize for his profound impact on popular music and American culture. On this day in 1990, Bonnie Raitt, yes, redhead, there we go, like Reba McEntire, I like them both, had her first #1 album, Nick of Time, unseating another female, Paula Abdul's Forever Your Girl, which was at #1. On this day in 1984, 40 of the artists on the U.S. Top 100 singles chart were Brits. They call it the New British Invasion, 1984. Interesting. On this day in 1979, the Doobie Brothers, Minute by Minute, I remember the song, is #1 on the U.S. album charts because it contained the song What a Fool Believes, still one of my all-time favorites, written by Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald. And on this day in 1970, the songwriting team of Hal David and Burt Bacharach won the Oscar for Best Original Song for Raindrops keep falling on my head from the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. B.J. Thomas made it into a #1 hit on the music charts, and Bacharach won Best Original Score for the film. Okay, today, Francis Ford Coppola is 86 years old. Wow, he's only directed more than 30 films, including The Godfather. He's won Oscars here and there and all over the place, and he studied theater at Hofstra College. I'm a Long Islander myself, so there. John Oates, you all have heard of Hall & Oates? He's 77 today. He co-wrote top 10 songs from the group. Sarah Smile, She's Gone, Out of Touch, You Make My Dreams Come True. I Can't Go For That, No Can Do, all that. Maneater, unbelievable writer. Jackie Chan is 71 today. Oh, come on, you all know. Did you know he's a Mando Pop singer, and he did most of his own stunts in Rush Hour, the trilogy, Enter the Dragon. Mark knows a Shanghai Noon, The Karate Kid. He has a star on the Hong Kong Avenue of Stars and the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he has best-selling albums in Japan. And Russell Crowe is 61 today. Can you believe that? Movie actor, we all know Gladiator, Best Actor Oscar. He played a real-life mathematician in A Beautiful Mind, blah, blah, blah. Today is in memoriam Billie Holiday, a.k.a. Lady Day, was 44 when she passed away in 1959. Jazz and swing singer who changed the way people sang that kind of music. I have the whole life story here and don't have time to tell it. Percy Faith was 67. He was born today in 1908. Canadian-American bandleader, orchestrator, composer, and conductor. Lush arrangements of instrumental ballads and Christmas standards. And he wrote for Johnny Mathis's Christmas album. If anybody remembers, theme from Picnic. That was one of his favorite. A theme from A Summer Place. Won a Grammy for a Best Record of the Year in 1961. Ravi Shankar, the Hindustani classical musician and composer, sitarist. Do you know who his daughter is? Does anybody know who his daughter is? Ravi Shankar? You're going to be shocked. Nora Jones.
Oh my.
Nora Jones is his daughter, and a musician named Anushka Shankar, who's a sitarist, is also his daughter. Unbelievable. Okay, I have 3 for you, and then we'll go. Well, we got 3 minutes. On YouTube today, we have a star named Marc Goldbridge, M-A-R-K. He's 46, and the reason he's in my list, Mark Watson, is because he has 39 million views. 39 million views. He's a British gentleman who posts Manchester United-centric videos about soccer, okay? On TikTok today, Henry Moody, M-O-O-D-I-E, is 21. Poor guy only has 6 million followers on TikTok, but he also has 2.3 million on Instagram and 131 million likes for his original vocal covers of popular songs and artists, including Sam Smith. So we all got to go out and do lip syncs of Sam Smith. And then on Instagram, we have a young lady. She's just getting started. I feel so sorry for her. Gracie Haschak. She's 23. She only has 401,000 followers. I know. It's just a shame. They don't usually get on my list, Mark, unless they have more than 1 million. Holidays. Today is National Beer Day. Did you know that beer started in 1100 BC? Early humans were producing beer-like beverages in the ancient Middle East. Today is National Coffee Cake Day, and the popularity of cake started in Egypt in the 1400s, and it spread to Germany and then the U.S. It's National Bake Week, Community Garden Week. I'm looking at the clock. International Snail Papers Day, and somebody named Dan Bloom invented this day in 2010, and he said, newspapers, hold them, touch the paper, smell the ink. Yeah. So today is Snail Papers Day. And let's see, and today is April. April is the month of Brussels sprouts and cabbage, cranberries and gooseberries, fresh Florida tomatoes, the BLT sandwich, I like that, garlic, pecans, don't eat these all at the same time, Mark, they'll really give you a tummy ache, soft pretzels and tomatillos and Asian pears. And it's also the month of Adopt a Greyhound, Adopt a Ferret, not at the same time. It's Poetry Month, it's Dog Appreciation Month, Guitar Month, Jazz Appreciation, Card and Letter Writing, Frog Month. Don't get the frog when you get the ferret and the greyhound. You don't want to be there. It's Kite Month, it's Humor Month, it's Welding Month, and Straw Hats. Don't be welding when you adopt the ferret and everybody else. So let me go to my closing here. By the way, in 2014, I ended the show, Mark, with the top 10 tips for women, and the #1 was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay, let's do our closing and stick around. We're going to talk afterwards. Here we go. Life is short. Break the rules. Yes. Forgive quickly. Nah. Kiss slowly. Yeah. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Everybody laugh with me. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was not too good. And never regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Here we go. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. Sing like nobody's listening. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have, right, Charisse? Right, Mary? Right, Marc? Get over it. Let your heart come back and grow again. Love again. Money talks. Chocolate sings. La. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Radio Red waving goodbye. Jordan, are we just about out on your channel, on your YouTube? Are we good? Jordan? Yep. Okay.